And we are live.
Hello,
Hello,
hello.
everybody. We're
Hi,
back,
hi.
not in person this time, with Kathy Biehl. The last show we did was in person, I believe.
May I'm not even
Maybe,
sure.
yeah, I know everything is a blur.
It is, it is.
So we're back with the astrology outlook and what's going on astrologically with our infamous Kathy Biehl at Professional Aquarian. I hope you're all going to her YouTube and her website, empowermentunlimited.net. Every single day you hear from Kathy if you tune in every day to Off the Ledge on my channel. Because she gives a little, it's like a weather forecast every day. So it's a nice day here in New England. How's it going, Kathy? What's going on there in New Jersey?
Unknown critters are eating a hole in my back wall. So I have insulation all over my deck, and I don't know what that is. It's getting bigger and bigger. That's kind of exciting. There is sunshine. It's very warm. The lake is open, and I'm thinking maybe I should at some point this week trot down into the water in my bathing suit. Yes, that would
Oh,
be good.
I might do that too.
Yeah.
That's easy to arrange. You know how close I am to the beach.
Yeah.
The little critters feel like they have two great big front teeth.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Like just two big front teeth, like buck teeth.
hmm No telling what they are. There are many possibilities. But anyway,
Munch, 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 munch. It's that time of year. They're all
yeah.
out now.
Yep. They're eating my house. I haven't thought through the astrological symbolism of that yet.
You know, we'll have to do a reading. Um, so
Apart
I
from
think
that, though, apart from that, I'm just butt in here. I'm doing a victory lap. I'm doing a personal victory lap. You should
let's do
also be doing a
it.
victory lap, victory lap, victory lap, victory lap. And I would remind everybody to live as if, and we are seeing evidence that what we're living as if is just heading right to us. So get your celebration stuff ready.
Yeah, and when Kathy says living as if, it's what I preach all the time. I'm just going to turn this up a little. It's what I preach all the time. Behave as if what you want to have occur is already occurring. There's a lot to be said for being grateful for things before they happen.
You bet.
And I'm starting to see signs. Trump and Elon are fighting. Yep.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to watch. We just have to keep keep our emotions at an even keel, and keep focusing on what we want. We don't need to know how or when, but it's very soon.
I keep saying, I mean, I have seen multiple windows since
Yeah,
January of when this could all just come crashing down. And there have been opportunities, but it's just getting so volatile. This week and next week, lots of fighting words, lots of people going after each other, dogs eating their own. And I don't mean to diss a dog with that statement, but you know what I mean.
cat
Going
dogs.
after each other. And next week, incredibly volatile, people in the streets for all kinds of reasons. This week, we've got the Veterans March. Next week, we have the No Kings March. I would keep your eyes open if you're going to one of those, and just be very, very aware of your circumstances, because the volatility gets even greater next week. And we're building to a full moon on the 11th that is in the sign of politics. It's
My
in the
son.
sign of belief systems in
Yep.
Sagittarius. And it is in a weird, stressful relationship with the nodes, which represent where we're coming from and where we're heading. And they make a giant cross. It's called a grand cross. And this goes exactly over guess whose chart. And it has the effect of suspending everybody over the action. And maybe you kind of get pulled in one direction and then you get pulled in another direction. And when we all get let go, it will be with the force of a wrecking ball. I've used that phrase before. And the wrecking ball dates back to July of 2024, when a lot of things happened, but two things worth mentioning happened. One was an event in Butler, Pennsylvania, that is still raising lots of questions. Like, what really happened?
Yeah, that was a highly suspicious event that happened.
So that's recurring. And secondly, that was also the influence under which Joe Biden handed over the campaign to Kamala Harris. And now, as these things are building, we have a bromance going into uh, uh, worse than any divorce. The scorned spouse can get really, really nasty, especially if the scorned spouse knows things about the spouse that's kicking him or her out. So we've got Elon actually making an unequivocal public statement today that Trump would not have won without him. His kids said it as much in the White
Right.
House, his little 5-year-old mini me. Trump has said it multiple times. Now we've
Yeah.
got Elon saying it, and Trump is now saying that Musk has Trump derangement syndrome. This can only get better. Let them go after each other. There is no telling what will get spit out here. Musk is so angry about the benefits that he was expecting out of that budget bill not happening that I think I know in my bones he will spill what he knows. Maybe he'll try to make a
Yeah.
deal. Maybe he won't even do that. Maybe he'll just spill what he knows because, ketamine, dot, dot, dot.
Yeah. Yeah. It's almost like he sobered up and for a little few minutes today and started going after Dumpy.
Well, maybe not sober. I mean, phew.
Yeah, yeah. It just seemed like we can delve into that a lot more in a few minutes, if you want. But the other thing that happened July of last year was SCOTUS declared that Trump had presidential immunity on July 1st.
That was in there too. Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
I know the exact date because a few days later I marched in 3 parades for Grassroots of Democracy, which is now not totally defunct, but we don't do our meetings anymore. But I was out there and I was saying, we don't need another king. I'll be out there again this year. I'm not really sure what I'm going to do, but I think I'm going to bring in some members of the community and maybe get a float going. I'm going to talk to the mayor, but they declared that Trump had presidential immunity, so it was like, and Joe Biden, he dropped out, and I thought it was August. No, it was July. That's
No,
right.
it was July
It was July.
21st on the
Yeah,
full moon.
yeah, and yeah. So I just feel the whole thing falling apart, and I just want to just say that I think that it's all in an orderly way when I look at the universal, like the divine hand or whatever, the higher power, whatever you want to call it, because we're really getting down to the real scuzzy, disgusting. It's just all in our faces. I still know that Kamala will be president, but I just want to say about that. If she had been president declared on November 6th, we'd be in a different place. All this stuff would not be rising to the surface. All this stuff would still be kind of underground. So I kind of feel like, if it's any consolation to anybody, if it helps you to calm down, it kind of has to happen this way. That's my sense. Because now we're getting to, Putin. The thing about Dumpy is that he's on the brink. Like, he doesn't know which direction to go, so he's going all different kinds of directions. Like, there he is sitting with the German chancellor today, and he can't say that he wants Ukraine to win, so he starts talking about Ukraine and Russia. They're like two kids that you're fighting, and I don't know what kind of kids he knows, but he's talking about you. I know you didn't watch it, but I watched the whole thing. Yeah, he said it can't end. The war can't end. You have to just keep letting them fight. It was ridiculous, but he's trying so hard to get a position on the issue, but his position is with Putin, and he can't say it, so that's how he's saying it. You know, I think it's so obvious, but I think it's becoming obvious to more and more people. Do you know what I mean? I know you didn't watch it,
Mhm.
but it was a
Oh, no.
fascinating it was a fascinating meeting, and I was on the edge of my seat. Like I know it's going to be like a big sort of bombshell meeting, but at least he didn't go after him. But a couple of times I saw the chancellor kind of going like he was just
Oh,
like,
the
what?
chancellor is part of Trump's destruction. There's so many ways I
Oh
can
yeah.
take this astrologically, but I do want to say you just used language that is an expression of what next week's full moon is doing to Trump, which is going this way and that way and this way and that way and this way and that way. And there's an echo in this full moon of a mutable grand cross. This is a mutable grand cross. So it's a grand cross like this in mutable signs, which means this way and that way, flexible, reads, whatever. There was a mutable grand cross in June of 2016, which was the time of Brexit. And there was also an
Oh,
infamous Trump Tower meeting. That was about there was some kind of legislation, some kind of policy about Russian adoptions. The
oh
Magits,
right, yeah.
at any rate, there was this meeting where there have always been questions about,
Don Jr.
yeah, but did his father phone in? We don't know. Anyway, next week has echoes of that.
Yeah, so you said there was a Grand Cross last year in July, right?
No, no. Last year, the Mars Uranus square happened for the first time. So the wrecking ball aspect happened for the first time. And it happened with Uranus, which shakes everything up, directly on top of, whose, I'm not going to even say his name, midheaven, which is the doorway to your career house. It's the most public part of the chart. And I've been talking for a long time about a wrecking ball coming at him from different directions. So this is the final kablooey. And Mars is headed for his own Mars. Mars, I think, will be actually on his Mars. So he's having his Mars return. And then, so very, very angry, very volatile,
Yeah,
very,
definitely.
very high probability for something quite sudden, very unexpected, could involve an accident, could involve violence, could involve, health.
Well, last night at PNN, when I read the tea leaves, I saw a very clear image of him with the Hitler salute and the tea leaves. And above him there was a gun. And I'm not saying he's going to be assassinated, but what I took away from that was that somebody wants to be rid of him. And the
Yeah.
other, yeah, and the other thing is that the German chancellor, what's his name, Merz,
Yeah.
is they're meeting right now, I think, as we speak. And I tuned into what was going on and what he was going to ask. I just call him Dumpy. What he's going to ask Dumpy for, and I feel like he's going to just tell him. I mean, maybe it doesn't take a psychic, but it is a psychic impression. He's going to
Mhm.
tell Trump what he knows, and that he better do the right thing, or it's. I mean, I think it's all going to come out anyway. But he's going to make, and I think Ruti did this too,
Mhm.
NATO, several months ago. I just think the German chancellor is going to say, "This is what we know. We know that you're working for Putin, however he's going to say it, and you need to do the right thing." So it'll be interesting to see if Dumpy turns around again and starts advocating for us to continue to help Ukraine. We're at that, like, okay, which way is it going to go? What's he going to say?
The
And
the
it looks
chancellor
like,
of I'm sorry, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I'm just reading the chat, and it looks like Elon's keeping on going because we've got kind of breaking news in the chat sometimes. Elon says
Yeah.
they didn't drop the Epstein files because Trump is in them. So he must be
Oh,
just tweeting or twittering or whatever
yeah,
X way.
he's yeah, excellent, excellent. Just keep going, Elon. What I want to say about the German chancellor is he has a configuration in his chart that a lot of boomers, people born around his time, have, which is Jupiter, which expands everything, and Pluto, which is the generational influence, really tight together. I have this in my chart also. And what it is an iron fist and a velvet glove. So it's someone who can wield huge power without making a big deal about it, but is potentially lethal.
Yeah.
Mertz's Jupiter Pluto conjunction is right on top of Trump's ascendant, his entire public persona. And it's also on Vance's. Okay. So
Yeah.
he's got it for both of them. And Uranus in the sky making this square to Mars. So Mars is moving for this territory. It's moving to where Mertz's Jupiter Pluto is, and it's going to be there between now and early July. And then, so we've got a window of time where he could just destroy again and again and again. This is like atomic bomb capability. And Mars is slamming into it, and Mars is amplifying it, and Uranus is slamming into it. So he detonated something that is part of the wrecking ball. He
Yeah.
detonated it already, and there may be multiple detonations, like a series of bombs going off, like, oh, I don't know, a bunch of explosives that were planted in the foundations of a bridge, and all went off. So
Right. Wow. This is somebody broke. It's huge. It's huge.
oh yes. Oh, yes. And can I just want to say, many of us, Annette and I, and a number of other people, have been seeing a specific future, and we have clung to that
Never let up.
vision.
Yep.
And it is here, folks. It's here. Okay.
Yep.
It is
Yep.
here. The German chancellor plays a role. Russia falling apart plays a role. Do you want to say more about the chancellor, or do you want me to go on to what's going on with Russia?
I feel very confident in what I said. That I feel like he's dressing down Trump right now. He's like, we know that Elon helped you rig the election, and that, lo and behold, in a timely manner, Elon's posting that he helped Trump to win the election. I don't know if he's gotten into specifics yet, and that Trump has it coming to him if he continues to help Putin. So I'm just repeating what I said.
Yep. All right.
Are we going to go to Trump's chart next, or?
No, I want to talk about Russia because this is fascinating.
Yeah,
If you don't mind, can we go into Russia?
No, that's great. I just want to tell you about Russia. What I'm picking up is that I think Putin's in a bunker.
He would be smart to be in one.
Yeah, I think he's hiding. I think isn't this the way that it goes for dictators?
Mm-hmm.
It always ends kind of like this, right?
Yes, I think so.
Or worse.
Or
in a bunker. And I do feel that there's a Russian Revolution coming, which I saw several years ago, like 3 years ago. I felt like the people would revolt, and I thought when Prigozhin was kind of storming into like blow up Putin or whatever he was going to do, I thought maybe that was the time that people would back Prigozhin. But then I was listening to a European channel, and they mentioned that the people didn't do that because then who knows who he would have put in. They didn't want him as a leader.
mm-hmm.
So everything's kind of shaken out, so that when everything sort of settles, it's going to settle in a good way, not in a continued corrupt and evil way. We'll always have evil, but we'll have less. Okay,
Well,
let's move on.
Well, here's what I find fascinating about Russia. We are right now in the beginning stages of the planets Saturn and Neptune forming a conjunction at the beginning of Aries. In the middle of July, they'll be almost exact, and then it is exact on February 20th next year. I did a lot of research about when Saturn's been in Aries, when Neptune's been in Aries, and what has happened when the two of them have been conjunct in any sign. And get this, Saturn-Neptune conjunct is a signature of every major event in Russian history.
Oh,
It,
wow.
it was there when Leningrad, when St. Petersburg was founded, now Leningrad, that's where Putin was born. They were conjunct when the Russian Revolution took place.
Yep.
They were conjunct when Stalin died. They were conjunct when Putin was born. They were conjunct when the Berlin Wall fell and the Soviet Union started to become the USSR, when a whole bunch of countries
Yeah.
left, and major shifts in territory and boundaries, and fighting with Finland and fighting with Ukraine, and property going back and forth have happened under this. And when I look at the Russian Federation chart now, so not only do we have this conjunction coming up again, starting a new form, and Saturn, Neptune together in Aries has frequently brought a spread of power among the masses, or underrepresented people stepping up into
Yep.
more power.
Yep.
That would fit what you're talking about. There is an eclipse in September that is going to shut down and end a big chapter having to do with foreign crimes, foreign dealings, oligarchs, money, investing in various things. And we can be feeling that starting in, I would say, July. So we're in this giant window of Russia is going to rearrange utterly. And the astrology is not so active in Putin's chart, but I think at this point, this is going to sound bizarre, he is astrologically not particularly relevant.
Oh, wow.
The entity of the country is already in reforming. And I saw this week that Alexei Navalny's widow, Yulia, has started a new Russian channel on satellite TV.
Where is she living?
I don't know.
Maybe she doesn't divulge that, which would make sense. Yeah, Navalny always. I tune into him, and he always tells me to pray for the Russian people. And I've always gotten that he's helping. I've always gotten that he's telling people, go here, go there. It's just like people in power that are attempting to take Putin down. So you mean
Someone says
July?
she's in Germany. She's in Germany. Okay.
Oh, okay. So you said July. We were talking about July of this year, next month.
Yeah.
Yeah, good. Because you mentioned something about next year. Yeah, good. Just
Well,
checking.
so it's possible that there could be several stages to this, and that the collapse starts now, and maybe as early as next February, they start reconfiguring what the country's going to be.
Yeah, maybe I should check the rods. Hang on a second. Let me check the rods. Is the war over? Yep.
There have been more things that have happened, more things that have blown up, more.
Yep, it's over. I got that message over a week ago. It's over. Still checks out. Yeah, I mean, he's got nothing left. If he doesn't have his munitions and the bombers and all that, and I feel like that there are 3 stages to this, taking this all down, taking Putin down militarily, and I feel like they haven't entered into phase 2. Putin is threatening that he's gonna, I don't know, attack. He's threatening it, but I just don't see how he can. I go back to what I said initially was I can't believe he would invade Ukraine, before he did. I thought, well, that's crazy. All these countries will gang up on him, but it took a while.
Anyway, we're watching it, and I can't help but wonder. All right, I am not one for conspiracy theories. However, Trump has a track record of saying batshit crazy things that really reveal stuff about himself. And
all the
lately,
time.
he's been going on about how Biden was executed and that a clone was in the White House. And there have been a lot of people talking about, is Putin really here? Are there doubles or body doubles who've been doing things? You've seen body doubles.
Yeah.
When I hear this nonsense, I think, well, I don't think you're talking about yourself, but are you talking about your good buddy?
It's astounding how often he just gives it away. And as far as Putin, I know somebody from Ukraine that I was more in touch with when the war started, and she said that it's common knowledge that Putin has doubles
Mm-hmm.
in Europe. So, and as far as Dumpy goes, what do you think about him saying that Joe Biden doesn't exist anymore? What the heck?
I mean, that is some kind of bizarre QAnon theory. He did not come up with it. He's parroting. My understanding is he's parroting something that some crazy person said uh, somewhere. I don't know. Anyway, it's a QAnon thing, but I think it's part of there's a plan to discredit everything that Biden did and to try to make it look like, to absolutely discredit everything that Biden did.
And he's vicious. I mean, if you heard him in that meeting today, and I don't blame you for not watching it, he's obsessed with Biden. He's always talking about Biden. They were in that meeting, and he's talking about Biden, and he's talking about Elon, and the poor German chancellor is sitting there like, and it was like diarrhea of the mouth. He wouldn't just, when he does that.
Oh yeah.
Lying Carolyn Levitt does that too. They all do that.
Like, I have a question for you.
What?
I have a question for you.
All right.
Is Carolyn Levitt on her way out?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
There's speculation that she's about to take the fall for something.
That's easy, and we've talked about that. You saw that astrologically. We've talked about that before. It always reads that she's on her way out, and the other one that's on their way out is Mike Johnson. MAGA Mike Moses. He's on his way out. I would just go on to say most of them are on their way out, don't you think?
Oh yeah, and it's going to be like not so much a tumbleweed, but like a snowball going down a hill and just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and picking up different stuff and throwing things off at different times. But
yeah, I see it's a scaffolding that's falling apart.
Yeah.
It's really amazing. It's amazing how brazen they are with things that they say that are just flat out wrong. I mean, Midas Touch has been, shout out to them. They've been doing an amazing job covering these hearings. They're just, these MAGAs are just showing themselves to be completely corrupt and fascist and just horrible, horrible people. Like the horrible, I haven't written down their names, the horrible Secretary of Education. I forget her name on purpose. She's what? I mean, I don't know people that are this horrible. In my life, I've never met people this horrible. But the Democrats are really going after them in a huge way, in a very effective way, just calling them on the carpet. I don't know if mainstream media is covering it, but they really need to be.
What's your sense of how effective it's going to be to is this bill going to get killed? Is this budget bill going to get killed?
Yeah, I read on it last night, and it was like, it was here, and then it was there, and it was just, when you just kind of overdo something, you try to fix it and fix it and fix it, eventually the whole thing falls apart. You just kind of, I just kind of see it being batted back and forth, and then it just disassembles. So maybe the disassembling goes along with, hand in hand with the disassembling of this fascist regime. That's what I think.
That would fit with me, with what I see as well.
Yeah,
that would fit with it, because now there are Republican representatives who are making the statement of, "Oh, if I'd read the bill, I wouldn't have voted for it." Why not read the bill?
There's so much backtracking going on.
Malfeasance. How can you vote for something when you don't know what's in it?
And they're fumbling over everything. Like, you said that, and now you're saying this, and there's a lot of that going on. It's been very contradiction heavy, and what they're saying, all of them. Marjorie Taylor Greene voted for the bill, and then she was saying that she didn't vote. she voted for the bill, and then she said she regretted voting for the bill, and then I saw there was another hearing, and she said she was for things. She did vote for, it was just they forget, they lie so much they don't remember what their last lie was. So do you have anybody like of that ilk? There's so many of them that stood out to you, the MAGAs in Congress?
I haven't looked at any of them lately. I mean, if you want me to, I can look for their charts. But honestly, what I have been seeing for a couple of months has to do with Uranus at the end of Taurus. This thing that's being
Oh.
absolutely activated by Mars exactly next week. So the buildup is there. And it's hitting the charts of pretty much everybody in the administration. And I've consistently seen this is when the bowling ball starts knocking people, pins
Yeah,
start going
that's what
into
I
the
see.
gutter.
Yeah, like boom, 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 boom. Like
Hmm.
you were talking about it, and I was just seeing fireworks. You were saying snowball. I was seeing fireworks. Like just boom. There's one. There's another one. There's another one. There's another one. Have you looked at um? Have you looked at? I wanted to just ask about next year. I'm really, really. My mind is really on the 4th of July for some reason.
Next year?
Both years, like this year, and because next year is like supposed to be the 200, well, it is the 250th anniversary of the founding of our democracy. I just wondered if you had peeked at that date at
No, I
all.
have not.
But as
Let's
far, but it sounds like we're gonna be celebrating our democracy. I want to go see Hamilton next year on the 250th anniversary year, and it was supposed to be at the Kennedy Center, but apparently Dumpy's the president now of the Kennedy Center in D.C.
hmm
They shut down the Kennedy Library here.
Yeah, well, they lost their funding, so they lost their staff, so
Bunch
couldn't
of
be open.
fascists. Don't they know we're in the year 2025? We're not in the 1940s.
Well, I have a crude way to describe this and a clever way to describe this. Which one do you want?
Crude.
A bunch of butt-hurt white boys. We're just looking at a bunch of butt-hurt white boys who are running around going, oh, 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 oh,
Yeah, it's bad.
and
I said a bad word about Dumpy today, and I was just like, I don't care how spiritual I am. I'm just gonna write that he's an asswipe.
I don't call people names, and I do
I
these
know, but
people.
sometimes it just makes
I
me feel so
know I
much
do
better.
these
Sometimes.
people. But here's the other thing. Who watched Animal House? Remember Animal House? And there
Oh
was the
yeah.
head of the really obnoxious fraternity, Niedermeyer, and he was an asswipe. And at the ending credits, when they show what happens to each person afterwards, he gets fragged by his men in Vietnam. All right, which is when your men kill
Yeah.
you because you are so horrible. And I started
Oh
thinking,
my god.
we've got a bunch of Niedermeyers running amok. These
Yeah.
people that are just with their power, and they're not very intelligent, and they don't have much integrity.
It's Idiocracy. Did you? I mean, it's been so long since I've seen Animal House, but you've seen Idiocracy, right?
No.
Oh my God, you have to watch that movie. It's exactly what we're in. And I was thinking on a more serious note, I suppose I was thinking of the movie Don't Look Up, the more recent movie, and that, oh gosh, it's so apropos to what's going
Ah.
on now. I mean, you saw that, right? Because I'm thinking about global climate change. I hope we're all thinking about global climate
Ah.
change, and that's well, Leonardo DiCaprio and Meryl Streep were in that, and Leonardo was a staunch environmentalist, and I think that they were just kind of playing on the idea that this devastating comet was coming, and Meryl Streep plays the president of the United States, and she doesn't ask about the comet. She's like, when are the midterms coming?
Yeah.
It was an amazing movie in the sense of waking us up to, we're in some catastrophic circumstances. We need to pay attention. It was really a great movie, and the ending really was just really kind of got you. You know, like they just eventually they just had to face it because they hadn't done anything to There were things they could have done to break up the comet in space and stuff, and they just were too busy like fighting and wanting to look good. So, oh yeah,
Hmm.
please hit the thumbs up. I'm all involved in our conversation. I forget to do our little
Oh yeah, please, please,
housekeeping.
please. Help Annette. Yay.
Yeah, help me. I need a lot of help. So, yeah. But this 4th of July, I'm gonna get out there. I'm gonna be real patriotic once again, and I'm gonna get more people involved. Well, get people involved. But next year, maybe next time you can let us know what you see for the 4th of July next year, or just next year. Like, because the whole year we should be celebrating 250 years, not as a fascist regime kind of country, right?
I don't see that being what happens.
Yeah.
I think we might be somewhat restructured. Do not freak by my saying that. We might be doing some things differently.
Well, let me ask you this. The other day, I get all my guidance when I'm going on a walk. The other day,
Hmm.
I'm walking and I'm going, if Dumpy continues longer than a few months from now, and I don't think he will, but just theoretically, we will see states decide to go it on their own. I've listened to the governor of Massachusetts. I've listened to the governor of Maine. I've listened to the governor of California, um, Tim Walz, the governor of Minnesota, which Dumpy was picking on him today. Just like picks on everyone. And I can see these states having discussions about
Hmm.
we're gonna have to go it alone. Because many blue states, unfortunately, well, maybe purple states too, but many blue states can go it on their own.
Many blue states are actually carrying the financial weight of the bulk of the
Right,
country.
right. So it would be like we'd be wealthier. I don't think that that's going to happen, but several years ago, I was talking to an astrologer, and she said with this Pluto and Aquarius energy, I don't think you've said this, the United States could look totally different.
Well, and it could still look totally different. I mean, we may end up with a very different structure for our government.
Yeah.
A lot of people are talking about, and I talked about this in my Saturn Neptune talk this last weekend. The Iroquois Nation Council model could become much more part of what we do.
Oh, I don't know what that
And oh, there were a group of Indian tribes that were called it was the Iroquois model. There were all these tribes that together were known as the Iroquois, and they had a matriarchal model of government. And the people who wrote both the Declaration of Independence, excuse me, and the Declaration of the Rights of Women from the 1848 Seneca Falls Convention worked off of this. And part of the notion was, I mean, women were involved, but the
beautiful.
matriarchs were involved. And for example, tribes could not go to war unless the matriarchal council approved it because they had birthed the warriors. So they had to agree that war was needed before they were going to put their children at risk.
And they probably hardly ever did. And
Mm,
I've always said we wouldn't have wars if the women were in charge. And
certain
I've,
ones.
and I've
Yep.
seen women ever consistently for the past several years. When I do readings, I just see the women are taking over. The women are taking over. And you had mentioned that Kamala's chart looks really like she's gonna be highlighted
Hmm.
really soon, right?
Oh, she's already back in the picture in a big way and on her path. I'll also mention that the solstice chart, which is June 20th this year, has tremendous feminine energy, just
Oh, nice.
steering the next 3 months in a big,
That's a
big way.
big day. I can see in my calendar. That's a huge day. The summer solstice.
Yeah, it's a big day. I've got a discussion of the chart available as a standalone on my Patreon. That's interesting. Something just flew off my bookcase. Interesting.
Is it a book?
A Mary Engelbright card that says a book is a present you can open again and again. Huh.
Oh, book bans are gonna be off. No more book bans. Oh, and also speaking of the crazy things that they're doing, Hegseth wants to remove all the names on the Navy ships that have anything to do with American history, basically, in a nutshell. Did you see that?
Well, he's already taken Harvey Milk off. I
Yeah,
think the
yeah. So you
people on
saw.
that ship have a thing to say about that. He's going after
Yeah.
one named for, he said he wants to have it more into the, I can't remember the exact word. He used the word warrior, but it was a phrase like warrior culture, recommitment to warrior culture. So I posted on Blue Sky that Harvey Milk was a fiercer and braver warrior than that posturing drunk has ever been. But they're going after Harriet Tubman, who led the first charge.
Yeah.
She led battle. In
Anybody
addition
who
to,
anybody who represents the American history that we're proud of, that
oh
represents our independence, they go after.
no, they're not white men. It's butthurt white men. Butthurt white men on the rampage.
Yeah, but I haven't seen one of these white men that are real men. I mean, have you? You can't point to any of them and go, I feel safe in their presence. They're real men. It's just it's not there. And I also question their sexual preferences.
I think if you make too much of an issue of this kind of thing, that sort of points right back at you, doesn't it?
Right, exactly. And why does he need a makeup studio in the Pentagon? And why does JD? I've nothing against eyeliner. I wear plenty of eyeliner, but why does JD Vance have to wear eyeliner? And then there's another one on Fox, not Brett Baer, the other one. It's not Brett, but it's Brian. It might be Brian. I don't follow their Fox that much, but he wears eyeliner too. I think he was interviewing Hegseth, and they were both sitting there talking about all these macho things.
Well, what about
They're
the bad
mortified.
foundation job on the person who's sitting in the White House? I mean, it's worse and worse and worse. Why do they let him on camera looking like that?
Because he doesn't let anybody tell him what to do. That's why.
Or touch him?
Yeah.
He's a
Yeah.
Howard Hughes level germaphobe.
And he's that far gone also. Like Howard Hughes he was a recluse at the end, right?
Yes.
So I just think he's off the rails, batshit crazy. I don't know if maybe you've seen this astrologically. If anyone on Elon's starting to in a certain way. If any of the MAGAs in Congress are going to start to say something about his lack of cognitive function. I mean,
Well,
it's there.
it's going to be really obvious next week.
It's so obvious now.
I know. Well, it is to us, but
Have you ever looked at Jake Tapper's chart?
no.
I should have asked you
Mm-mm.
that, but I did read on him, and I wondered what happened because I wondered if he was like extorted. Because remember, there was a debate that he monitored. He was a moderator, and Dumpy got all mad. I don't remember which debate it was, but he got all mad at him because he asked questions.
Heaven forbid.
Yeah, but I think he's
Heaven
done.
forbid.
I think Jake Tapper he's done. And I think mainstream media is also done.
I would agree.
Because they got us into this mess. It all boils down to the messages that people have been receiving.
Well, the Washington Post has just announced that non-professional writers can submit to them that they have an AI guide that will help get non-professional writers work publication ready.
What's an
Uh,
AI guy got to do with getting the
no,
work?
that they have an AI tool that will help non-professional writers get their work into the Washington Post.
Oh, I'll send my Substacks.
There's a good,
Why
well,
not?
that's a
They're already
possible good
written.
thing from it. But
I have so many Substack articles. I'm always writing a new one. I'll do that.
my
Maybe.
point being, they're opening the door to absolutely unqualified people to end up in their pages. I exempt you from this,
Oh
but
no!
this is,
Or the Washington Post. I get my journals mixed up.
yeah. Well,
So
anyway,
you think it's going to be right wing extremist?
no, I think it's terrifying that they're opening their pages up to people who are not trained journalists. It's already turning into we've already got people saying stuff passing as facts that is not factual. And this is just going to amplify this kind of
So
stuff.
the AI guy is somebody's going to use AI to do
Right.
to edit and to
No, to
write it.
write. To write it, yes.
Oh, so you don't mean that you can submit your article and then they just edit it with AI? Or that's what I thought.
No, you use their AI tool to write it. And you don't have to know anything. You don't have to have any writing background or qualifications or skill.
Well, all right, we need to unpack this because Substack, you don't have to be like a published writer. You don't have to be anything. It's like your own little business, kind of.
That's different. That's
You can
completely
write
different.
anything. So what you're saying is the Washington Post is looking for like whatever you want. It's kind of confusing because you can write an opinion piece and it's not really facts. It's just based on opinion, right? The Washington Post, what's the one that was that the one that Bezos owns?
Yes.
Okay, so, and I don't read it, so I'm not aware of whether they're really right-wing extremist.
No, but they've gone from being, I mean, their model is democracy dies in darkness, and they've just started well, it's still their motto.
Because there's two sides to this, and one is that I think that independent media, just a separate topic, independent media like Midas Touch and Brian Tyler Cohen and all those people, I think that I think they've already been through their time of tumult, or they're in it now, back and forth with mainstream media. They have kind of like an unseen battle going on with mainstream media, and they have superseded mainstream media. So my sense of a year or two ago about what was going to happen was mainstream media would dominate, and then the independent media, pro-democracy, would give them a run for their money, literally. And then mainstream would have to cave in because more and more people were just going to hear the real news from independent media. I think we're in that little time now. But once again, it's about the people rising up and having a voice, which is the Pluto and Aquarius, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll have to look into that Washington Post thing. Get
So
more.
here it is. They will expand its opinion section to include newbie writers who will be guided by artificial intelligence. That it will have a live assistant to deliver writing prompts and help shape the content. And I honestly think that this is I'm sorry. I studied journalism in college. This freaks the hell out of me.
Shape the content.
Yes, this freaks the hell out of me.
I'm going to look into it further.
Yeah.
I'll read on it too. I'll read on it later.
Yeah.
I'm going to do a PNN pop-up from somewhere outside in a little bit. So interesting. Jim Acosta is saying the same thing that I just said. Oh, Jim Acosta, who used to be on CNN.
Right. Oh, yeah. Independent media is leading the way.
Yeah, I think it's really going to turn into that. I think that the cable news networks are going by the wayside.
Well, just look at this. Katie Fang left MSNBC. She has her own show.
Yep.
And Joy Reid pushed out of MSNBC. Huh. Also because her color isn't appealing to butthurt white men. She started her own show.
Yeah, same with Katie Fang and Jim Acosta at CNN. A lot of them are. And I wish that Rachel Maddow would do it. It's probably a contractual thing that she can't. And I wish Lawrence O'Donnell would do it. And I like Nicole Wallace too, and one or two others. So I really think they should get their own channels because that's where it's going. Because people are pissed at what they've done to us. I'm telling you, I blame the media first and foremost for where we are. Because if they were on there, and you know that I did how many videos? 22 videos, reading all the achievements of the Biden-Harris administration. I got a crazy, crazy bug. I just had to go ahead and do it after I found out about Jake Tapper's book, and they were bashing Biden. They're bashing Joe Biden for having cancer.
And they've been giving Trump a pass for years.
It's so obvious.
Although I will say in the 90s, he got a lot of shit. And at some point it switched, and I'm not quite sure if it happened when Mark Burnett put The Apprentice up, but at some point the story went in a different direction.
Yeah, prior to The Apprentice, he was a loser. He was a known Big Al loser. Known in the 90s. Dumpy.
A wonderful magazine called Spy Magazine used to refer to him as a short-fingered vulgarian.
And if that was the case now, he would just shut them down, and he'd sue them for $50 billion. Have you looked at Biden's chart recently?
No, I have not. Let's see.
Who else do you have there in your pile?
I've talked about everybody I had up.
Who else are you curious about? You can ask me a question.
Oh.
If you want. We're going to make it. We're going to make it, everybody.
I actually have, there's a lot of weird stuff going on in New Jersey. Roads are starting to open back up that have had sinkholes in them, new sinkholes showing up. Airports starting to get under control just a tiny bit. The runway that was under reconstruction is opened. I don't know what's happening with that. So we have our gubernatorial primary next week. And the three candidates are kind of standing out. On the Republican side, there is a rabid dog, complete anti-immigration, I want to scare the hell out of you guy. Trump stumped for him, but you were correct. He didn't show up in the state. He did it virtually, like by Zoom or something. Then on the Democrat side, there are like 7 or more candidates. One's part of the South Jersey party machinery. One has a whole bunch of real estate developing backers. One is the mayor of Newark, who was arrested by ICE and is now suing Eileen Haba.
And I think she's in big trouble.
She's in big trouble, and he's considering suing Tom Homan. I hope he does. So he got a boost from that. And the other is a rep, my rep, Mikey Sherrill. Now, I don't know whether my druthers are coloring everything, but I see Mikey Sherrill not just winning the primary, but winning. Do you also?
Yeah, I think you asked me that, and it's consistent. I still see her winning. I think that more people are going to be showing up than ever before in our history anyway, because people, I'm telling you, when you go after their health care and you go after their money, it's just, people are going to show up, and they are so pissed at these MAGA Republicans that, yeah, Mikey will win. And as far as what was going on in Newark, that was a question a while back. It feels like some really smart people just got in there and kind of took the controls, put their hands on the controls. The FAA is still having a struggle, and I'm just going back to what we talked about before. Remember, I think it was during the show about why is Newark, it's kind of a hot spot for mysterious activities. Didn't we say there was something militarily going on? I'm trying to remember.
You seem to think
that's where all the drones are showing up, right?
Well, close to it. There are a lot of drones near me, and I live near an arsenal. Yeah. But I'm not all that close to Newark, so I don't know.
Yeah, we'll look at it again if it kind of pops up in the news. But there's a lot of focus on Newark, New Jersey. The June 6th event tomorrow, I think you did kind of brief me on the astrology of that tomorrow.
Oh, geez.
It's already here.
It's already here. There's strategy, a lot of really intense action that has been planned, and people taking it's like I think I said walking your talk, but it's putting ideas into action, it's a boots on the ground kind of energy. So that
Yeah, I
fits.
think it's
And
going to be
as
a
we
big
get toward
help.
the weekend, a lot of things shift into what does it mean for me? Like people are going to really, really start feeling and becoming aware of their own personal financial consequences and
Yeah,
looking at their own what's happening to them and getting really emotionally expressive about it. So that vibe will color whatever happens next
yeah,
week. And I will say, looking at Biden's chart, this wrecking ball configuration that I've been talking about does hit him in a really, really big way. And it does involve uh, health and his public standing and relationships with women. His last press secretary has left the Democratic Party and has a book coming out. She's getting a lot of crap for it, but she saw what the party did to him.
oh, it's
My
awful.
understanding is it's not an anti-Biden book. It's a "you people really did horrible things" book.
Yeah,
So I would expect Biden will continue to be in the news.
I think he's doing good health wise. I really do. I think he's gonna stick around for a while. He needs
There's
to
still
be vindicated. He really
And
does.
there's still stuff for him to do. Yeah, and I really want him to see getting vindicated.
I think it's gonna happen. The sirens going by. I pay attention to what we're talking about when that happens. I think that Biden is going to be able to get, and not like verbally, but in a certain way, we're so sorry. I really do. I think, and you wrote, I shared the address that you wrote
Good.
Biden.
Yeah,
I
I
think.
wrote him a letter.
Yeah, so that was great. I'll put it in the description afterwards. I I do see him supporting Kamala. I know we didn't really talk about Kamala much today, but
Say anything you want.
you had already said, right? You want to recap anything that you said about Kamala coming?
She's moving into her mission. She's moving into her mission, and and things are only going to get more and more powerful, especially when we get into the fall.
I feel like she doesn't get any media coverage because you're saying that you've seen her. I haven't seen her. I posted a little clip of her. It was the only YouTube video that I got taken. I think it got taken down because I posted a video clip of her a few months ago, and I just really feel like they work overtime to make sure we don't see her. The media, but you see her breaking through that. It sounds like.
Mm-hmm.
And was there like, didn't you say like this month?
Oh, this month has been is really big in her coming back out. Yes.
Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb and I'm going to say this. I think that we're going to see evidence. Elon's going to out Dumpy.
Yep.
That Dumpy didn't win the election, and I think that we're going to see her coming back into the limelight. This has never happened before in history, so I don't know how they'll orchestrate it, but we'll see, and I'll tune into it when the time gets closer. But I do see it.
I do too.
I do
Always
see it.
have.
Yeah, and this Elon thing, he's gonna go for the jugular with Dumpy
Oh yeah.
because they're just two crazy people, and there's just all these crazy people around them, and it's coming. Everybody, keep your thoughts high vibration.
Well, I do have one question. It can be a quickie one.
Yeah.
Before we sign off here, what do you see happening with this military parade? I refuse to believe it's going to happen, but maybe it will.
Let me pull a couple of cards. I keep saying it's not going to happen. The couple
I
of
mean,
cards that I'm
the
pulling.
millions and millions and millions it will cost to repair the streets of DC.
I have a magician and a page of swords. Whatever happens, it seems very, very insignificant.
And for show, it's just show.
It seems really insignificant, and I'm not sure that they're going to go ahead and get the streets all torn up with these. What is he? Want tankers to come down the streets or something?
Yep, he wants tanks
Oh,
coming down the streets.
so did they solve that issue? Because that's what he wanted in like 2019 or something.
And they said, no, we can't do it. But now they factored in the cost of rebuilding the streets.
If anything happens, the people will have more ammunition emotionally. And then there's no turning back for him. There will be no mercy. No way.
I'm going to make a bold prediction. Something will happen involving Kamala that overshadows all of it.
And I, when I think about it, I feel like it's not going to happen because of a big event that happens prior to it. That contributes to his complete demise.
Maybe, and it very well could be more actual information coming out about, oh, by the way, she really won.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, the anomaly from the sky is what messed with the vote tabulation.
And by the way, Putin fails. What before we go, you mentioned something about June 9th. It's
hell of a day, Mondayest of all Mondays. Lots and lots and lots and lots of stuff going on. Look, guys, just know next week is going to be insane. As much as what we have been through already,
this week
multiply
is
it like by 1,000. So instead
Yeah.
of freaking, what do you need to do? What do you do now? And how do you plan how you're going to monitor and pace your energy? Okay. And it may be it's time for cookies or ice cream, or just saying these are the only hours that I'm going to look at social media, and then holding to I'm not doing it any other time. But we're already seeing today evidence that stuff is breaking. That's what we have been hoping for. And know that there will be all kinds of stuff to misdirect, to try to, don't look at hits. No, as it's really, really starts breaking. We are in the time of the, I'm going to say this, we're in the time of the collapse. It will not be a one-day collapse. It is a process. Next week is pivotal in the collapse. Pace yourself.
Yeah. I'm here for it. We're all here for it. Yay! It's been holy hell, but all throughout human history, people have gone through holy hell, and it could be worse, right?
Could be worse. Could be raining. And the words.
It could be raining. That's my dad used to say that all the time.
Well, that's from Young Frankenstein.
Yeah, that was his favorite movie. My parents. That's what my parents would say when I was down and out. Like, could be worse. It could be raining. It always worked. So, everyone, hang in there. When you see a bad news story, when you get really aggravated, I don't care. Use a bad word. I just throw it out there. It makes me feel better. It makes me feel a lot better to do my shows and to do Substacks, to just write about it and redirect. When you see a bad news story that you just hate and it just gets you all upset, be active. Go be an activist and do something with that energy. Just redirect and think about Kamala in the White House, where she belongs. Yep. So thank you. We went over a little bit, but oh well, this is important. You want to promo yourself?
Hey guys, my site, my channel is Professional Aquarian. Every Friday afternoon, I have political astrology videos with Louise Eddington, the Cosmic Owl. I also have forecasts for every week, new moon, full moon, month, and I try to translate the astrology into English. My site is empowermentunlimited.net. Yes, I set these things all up at different times. I know I should have it all under one name, but I don't. And I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Kathy Biehl. And if you're on Facebook, I have a group called the Astro Insight Lounge, where we talk about astrology on the ground, like stuff that's going on and news stories that actually play it out, largely political, also lots of ridiculous sun sign astrology. Very fun.
Oh, great. So go to our Professional Aquarian for your YouTubes.
Yep.
Since you're on YouTube now, you can go, everybody.
Yep.
But first, tonight and every Thursday night, we do a guided meditation for a healed America. We've been doing it for a long time, years. But it's on a live stream, 7 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Eastern time. Come on, you all. You can fit in a half an hour. we talk for the first 15 minutes. So even if you can come for the last 15 minutes, then you can get your meditation and it is working. And to book a session, psychicannetteDion.com. And that's all for now. Thank you, thank you. Please share, please hit the thumbs up, and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye. See you later.